Hey everybody, Russell Gray, co-host of the Real Estate Guys radio show, and I am here with Staci Gray from Organized to Scale. Hey Staci.
Hey there, thanks for having me.
We are excited to have you here today because we have been talking about this concept of scaling your syndication business. And for a lot of real estate investors out there who have mastered the art of making money in real estate, what they quickly realize is there's more deals than they have money, and they're stuck. And there's a whole lot of people out there that have money that don't have access to deals, don't have access to relationships, don't have the skill, the experience, or even the inclination to learn how to make money in real estate, but they love the asset class. So there's obviously the opportunity to create a match there. And that's what the business of syndication is all about. The challenge is for most people is when they're used to operating as a one man or woman band, they struggle with letting go and growing. And of course, being fueled by more money from private investors, growth is the whole reason you do it. And so to answer that question, Staci created a business called Organized to Scale, and she has been doing this for Robert and I for many, many years. She's helped us launch several businesses and grow them and build teams, wind beneath our wings, if you will. And now she's doing that for members of our syndication mentoring club, and they're having fabulous success. So we thought it would be a good idea to share that with folks. And so Staci came up with this idea of doing this 8-part series. And so this is video number 1, and we're calling it Getting Clear on Your Personal Syndication Philosophy, which we believe is kind of the foundation of how you build a business. So Staci, why don't you just explain to folks what that is and why it's so important?
hmm Yeah, it's really is the foundation. So getting clear on your personal syndication philosophy allows you to build a business that is actually scalable and around the lifestyle that you want to create. A lot of people who get into the syndication business or really any entrepreneurial venture are typically more innovators, visionaries, salespeople who are very passionate about what they're doing, and they go like wildfire to create it, but the infrastructure really isn't there, and they end up creating a glorified job for themselves. So getting clear on your personal syndication philosophy lets us decide in advance what it is that we're actually building so that we can put all of the, like you said, wind beneath your wings in place to actually build something that is going to give you your time freedom, time with your family, travel, whatever are the things that you really want to do, and know that your syndication business will still scale.
Yeah, a lot of people fall into the trap of just throwing bodies and payroll at the problem, and that's a losing proposition. I know because I've done it. The other part of it is you think you bring people in and they have skills, they have experience, they have leadership qualities, they have work ethic, they're great folks. And then they go off and they build a little kingdom inside of your business, and it doesn't quite line up. And so what you don't realize is there's so many things that make you an entrepreneur in terms of the way you do things, your culture, your vision, your values, what you're working towards. And you carry those things around kind of innately. And the problem is when you bring other people into the mix, they don't see what you see. They don't believe what you believe exactly. They're good folks, but there's just not an alignment. And so when you focus your time and attention early in developing your own personal syndication philosophy so that it's really, really clear. And then you take that and build a vision on top of that, which is kind of a clear picture of what everything looks like when it's finished. And then layer over that the values that you want your organization to reflect, how you want the marketplace to feel about who you are and what you do and why you do it. Now, all of a sudden, you've got people who can come into your organization. And this is way before you get into things like policies and procedures and how we do it. It's more of like why we do it. So, Stace, you've seen people come in and not have clarity on that, but you take them through a process of helping them develop that. How does that work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you just said was really valuable. Simon Sinek has a saying that is, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And getting very clear on your why and what your mission is key. And it's also really crucial for your personal satisfaction as you're building your business. Building a business is not easy. It requires a lot of grit. And the thing that's going to pull you through is your mission. And money isn't enough. So really, how do you want to serve? What are you going to solve in the marketplace that is going to create a significance for you and contribution? You know, Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs. And those are really valuable and drivers for entrepreneurs. So getting clear on your mission, and then layering onto it your vision, like how you're going to bring it out into the world, and then your values, which is the ends don't justify the means. So how are we going to get there in a way that is in alignment with our character, our integrity, our values, and then rally troops around us that have those same values, so that then we can go down the track quickly without getting sidetracked by incompatibility in terms of values.
So yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned in business is that a lot of times we look at business as an organization, and we work on organizing, and we work on software and systems and procedures and how to and training manuals and metrics, key performance indicators, and all of those things are really, really important. You have to do that, but that isn't phase one. Phase one is really more like starting a church. When you go into a church, there's a culture. There is kind of an etiquette. There, people understand what the expectations are, what the rules of engagement are, what the morals are. And when you have that in your business, and then you put on top of that the policies and procedures and software and all of that stuff, now you have something really powerful. And I think that I've learned in my decades in business now, I hate to admit it's been that long, but it has. And I've seen a lot of businesses come and go. I've started several businesses. Some have succeeded, some have failed. And most of the time, the problems weren't in the execution, it was in the culture. And I've just learned in my life that it's really important to firmly establish a culture early and then adhere to it. And sometimes you have to let good people go. Sometimes you have to make hard business decisions, and they're not bad people, but they just don't fit. They're not going to get along with you. They're not going to get along with other people on your team that do fit. They're not going to get along with your customers. They're not going to carry that feeling, if you will, that emotion, that goodwill into the marketplace. And you're going to end up with these little hard to perceive conflicts that create animosity and friction in your business. And there's going to be plenty of that from competition, from adversity in the marketplace. You don't need to have that internally. So this foundation of getting clear on your personal syndication philosophy is really, really important. So Stace, I know that you normally start folks with this 3-day process. And a big part of that process is drawing them out, helping them take the thing they're carrying around, maybe in their heart, maybe in their subconscious mind, and getting it out on the table where you can turn it into something that's written. What does that process look like?
First is letting them dream. So sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to really dream what the type of business we want, because we start trying to figure out how to do it in the process of envisioning it. So we remove all of those barriers. So if you could design the exact business that you want, what would it look like? So if you woke up and you were able to spend your time doing what you wanted to do, what would that be? And we call that their sweet spot. So it's the things that energize them, and then the things that drain them, they don't want to do. So we narrow it down to the things that energize them. And when you kind of see a pattern in the things that energize somebody, you learn what really is their drivers and their motivators. And then we bring all of that to the surface and then say, okay, this is your sweet spot. How do you want it to manifest? Do you want to do assisted living homes? Do you want to do ATM machines? Do you want to do any form of a type of syndication they can do? And a lot of them have things that they gravitate towards based on their personal interests, history, things that were painful for them in their past that they then want to solve in the marketplace. And so we draw all of that out. And then the value side of it is I ask them to tell me if they could choose one person in their life to be their ally in making it happen, who would they choose and why? And they share all the characteristics of what that person is. And that narrows it down to really what their values are, because your values aren't what you say they are. They're actually what you do. And so we make it in a complete alignment, because pretty words on a piece of paper mean nothing if you're not going to be able to live it out in real life. It'll just erode your confidence, because you're going to be so incongruent. So a lot of getting clear on your personal syndication philosophy is finding all the congruencies in your mission, vision, and values, and then documenting it, and then having that one sheet available to you to look at every day, but then also for how you lead, manage, and hold your team accountable to those same things.
Yeah, it's just like in a business, when you're putting together a deal, you show a prospective investor your one sheet, which is kind of a summary, a quick summary of the most important points of the deal, so they can look at it and go, yes, this is a fit, or no, this isn't a fit. If they want more information, then they dig into the proposal, maybe the executive summary and all the offering documents. That's the way it works in syndication. Well, same thing's true in your business. You have to create kind of this one sheet that helps you determine whether somebody or an opportunity or a way of doing things or a customer is a fit. And having that available so everybody can look at it and you hold yourself accountable to it so that everybody is congruent. And this is, again, kind of the secret sauce. And I just feel like a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand that, and they want to get right into all the operational details and skip this super, super important point. If you've ever read the classic book E-Myth by Michael Gerber, he talks about primary aim. I call it internal mission, but it's what is it you want the business to do for you? Because you're ultimately building the business for yourself. That's Staci's point. So you have to get clear on that. And it's not that you're selfish, it's just like being on an airplane, right? If you have a loss of cabin pressure, they tell you the first thing to do is put your own oxygen mask on first, because if you don't take care of yourself first, if you don't stay energized, if you don't stay healthy, if you don't stay vibrant, then you can't lead. You can't take care of anybody else. You have to take care of you first. And so once you build into your business, something that is going to turn you on and make you happy, and you see yourself driving towards a life and a lifestyle that you want to live, now you work on focusing all your time and attention on other people. What am I going to trade? What am I going to go into the market and offer people in order to attract their capital, in order to attract their efforts to help me accomplish what I want to accomplish? And once you have the model in place so that everything that you do supports where you want to go, you don't have to focus on you anymore. By focusing on other people and helping get the right people on the bus and get the right systems, policies, procedures in place, attracting the right customers, doing the right deals in the right marketplaces, and all of the things, it's automatically going to take you to your destination. And of course, the problem is if you don't know that, then your business becomes somebody who's lost on the path. And if you've ever been with a driver who doesn't know where they're going, there's a lot of false starts, dead ends, retracements, wasted time, super frustrating. Businesses and the path to success can be the same way without a clear personal syndication philosophy. So Stace, do you have any maybe real life examples or, anecdotal things that you can talk about where someone's maybe had a breakthrough and they've gone from, hey, being confused to aha, and all of a sudden this thing is working? I mean, I know it's happened for me, but you're doing it for a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I have like just one example, but there's several of our clients that were struggling for years, and they were zigzagging in terms of their execution because they were not clear on their personal syndication philosophy. And once they got clear, they were able to move things, launch a podcast, build their brand, do multiple syndications, raise capital, and with confidence, because they knew that the infrastructure was there to support their efforts and that the team underneath them was keeping them in alignment with their mission, vision, values. It was always anchored back to that. So there was no way we were going to get off track. And then you wake up 5 years later and realize you built a business you didn't really want. And so every 90 days, a part of our process is to do a 1-day review to say, are we on track? Like we identified our 10-year target. This is where we're heading. Is it working? Is it not working? Do we need to make adjustments? Did we meet somebody that completely shifted the trajectory of our business? And in a good way or in a negative way? Did we partner with the wrong person? And we make those adjustments every 90 days. You can't wait to evaluate your business every year or every 2 years or every 3 years thinking that you're going to be on track. You have to do it consistently, and consistently planning strategically, but also consistently leading the team and consistently evaluating if you're living in alignment with what your mission, vision, values are.
Yeah, and it's a little bit iterative. And so that's another important point, right? The more iterations you have, the quicker you fine tune, right? The quicker you can focus. And sometimes it isn't just that you are making changes because the people aren't aligning with your vision. Sometimes as you get to know yourself better as an entrepreneur, you realize, hey, the thing that I thought I wanted to do, the people that I wanted to go work with, the markets that I wanted to be in, they change. You realize that you have new opportunities, the market changes, or you have new interests. And so there's a process, you can turn on a dime when you're an individual. You can say, okay, I wake up today and I'm going to focus on this. I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to focus on that. But you can imagine that when you've got an organization and you've kind of set the tone and people think you're moving in a direction and you change and you don't tell anybody for a year or two, then the distance between you as the leader and the team and where they think they're going and where you think you're going, that gap gets pretty large. And it's that gap, that misalignment that can really create expensive problems. And so this idea of every 90 days coming back and revisiting isn't just to hold everybody accountable to your vision, but it's also to reassess your vision and your philosophy and say, hey, what have we collectively learned as an organization about ourselves as individuals, about ourselves as a group? And ultimately, now that I'm getting closer or we're moving towards this vision that I initially started out with, is it really where I want to go now that I can see it more clearly, or have I realized there's something else? So there's a balance between, not being a finisher, typical entrepreneur, shiny penny, chasing shiny objects and going off on 1,000 different directions. I'm 100% guilty of that. And having somebody like Staci in my life helps me stay on track and really ask the salient question is like, are you just bored? Or is this not working? Have you abandoned this goal, or is it just you want to do more? And the idea that maybe what we need to do is get this first thing over the line to a point where you can walk away. You look at somebody like a Richard Branson or an Elon Musk. These people, there's people out there who come from the school of thought that say, hey, you can only focus on one thing at a time. And then you look at these entrepreneurs who can run multiple ventures concurrently. Like, how in the heck did they do that? And I'm not saying it's an either or, right or wrong, but I do think that the key to doing a lot of different things is having a clear vision for each individual project and building specific teams that are going to be able to execute on that and not muddying the water. And so if you struggle with that level of focus, the first thing to do is get clear on your syndication philosophy, but also put these mechanisms in place where someone is going to pull you through and have these regular accountability points where you do a reassessment. How do you manage, Staci? The guys, I mean, I kind of know, but I want to draw it out from you. But how do you manage the people that are a little bit all over the place? The folks, like me, that want to do 18 different things all at once and want it all done yesterday.
Yes. So all of our clients are like that because that is a typical entrepreneur visionary. The first thing we do is we match your team. So your ops coordinator is matched with you based on your DISC profile. So we try our best to pair people's strengths and weaknesses together. So there's a lot of compatibility there. So that's the first thing that we do. The second thing is during the 3-day, we create the one sheet and we agree that that's sacred. That's sacred for the next 90 days. Every
And it's
visionary
one sheet. Sorry to interrupt, but it's one sheet per business, or even
per
maybe
brand.
per business activity. You might even have a one sheet for, an activity underneath, like we have the Syndication Mentoring Club, which is a subset of the real estate guys. And of
Which
course we have the radio show and what we call the media side of the business. We have the event side of the business, and then we have the educational side of the business. So there's actually 3 different activities going on underneath the real estate guy's brand, and each one of those has to be addressed a little bit differently because different people are involved, different personalities are involved. There's an individual vision for each one of those sub businesses.
we call it brands. So the Syndication Mentoring Club is its own brand. The Real Estate Guys radio show is its own brand. And so we have one sheets for each brand. And those are the action plans that we're agreeing on for the next 90 days. So it has your purpose, your core values, your brand promises, your 10-year target, your 3 to 5 priorities for the next 90 days, including the project organizers for specifically how to do it. And everyone, and you meet once a week with your ops coordinator, as you know, but everybody who's a visionary says, well, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do that. And we say, that's great. That's a wonderful idea. I'll put it on future priorities and we'll have a discussion in 90 days when we do our 1 day to see if that bubbles up to something that we want to make a priority for the next 90 days. So your visionaries are encouraged to have ideas because that is actually what's needed to keep pushing the ceiling of growth. So we never want to stifle that. Come with all of your ideas. You can have 20 every day. That's fine. We'll capture it, but we aren't going to be able to execute on every single one yesterday. So we will just consistently be prioritizing what is going to need to happen next to scale your business. And ironically, that's the next video, which is video number 2, which is how to prioritize to scale your syndication business.
Yeah. So in closing, I'll just have this to say, and that is that if you can imagine that when you're running a business, if you're meeting with your accountant or you are big enough to have a chief financial officer, they're giving you guidance as the leader, as the executive, about what you realistically can afford to do, right? If you say, oh, I want to go do this, I want to do this, I want to go do this, and it's going to take X amount of, investment capital and X amount of time and a burn rate to get to break even. And the CFO says, well, that's all wonderful, but there's just not enough cash in the bank. You're either going to have to go raise some money or you're going to have to defer. Well, if you can think of time and energy and focus the same way you do money, meeting with someone like Staci gives you that same type of a reality check. It's this idea of, hey, you only have so much time, energy, and focus. You can't spend it all everywhere at the same time. You're going to have to set priorities. And then I try to create what I call the flywheel effect. And I actually don't call it that. It is called the flywheel effect from Jim Collins' Good to Great. And then he actually wrote a little sub book about it. But the idea that you take these different activities and they build on each other. So, in the syndication business, you may say, okay, well, I'm going to need, an accounting function. I'm going to need to have a due diligence function. I'm going to need to have a market research function. I'm going to need to have perhaps a property management function. Some of those things are going to be scalable and some of them are going to build on each other. Hey, once I get this in place, then I can build more. Maybe I go acquire a property management company as a basis and then add to it. Because again, as individual investors, we tend not to think that way. We think, oh, I can't afford that. That's too much. But everything is paid for out of the deals. And so the limitation to scaling is no longer financial when you learn how to syndicate. It's the things we're talking about here. It's getting out of your own way. It's learning how to manage your time, energy, focus, and resources. And then it's learning how to get the right people in the right seats on the bus so that you can properly set those priorities to scale, which is what we're going to talk about in the next video. So any closing thoughts, Stace, before we wind this down?
No, I think this was a good starting point for getting clear on your personal syndication philosophy.
Okay, great, folks. Then thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video when we talk about prioritizing to scale your syndication business. Before you go, 3 things. Number 1, subscribe. When you subscribe, you build up our subscription base, and that helps us reach more people. But even more important, it helps us attract great guests and subject matter experts to share their ideas and information with you. Number 2, click that notification bell to make sure that when we do post a new video on this hot topic, you're notified right away. And number 3, share. Please share this information with friends. Help them get on board this bus. Help them protect and preserve their wealth to take advantage of what's going on in the world today. All right. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next video.